Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. So, hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you on YouTube Live. How we all doing? Welcome to my graveyard, as I said before. But here we are, ladies and gents. TGIF, am I right? I'm so stoked this Friday, as always. I'm chilling like a villain, man. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite iconic horror movie characters in one, Miss Carrie White. Oh, yeah. We got the original classic on blue here. We're going to be getting into these movies, the classic original, the much hated sequel, and probably the most much hated remakes. Both of those remakes aren't really praised by most, but some of my opinions on these movies might surprise people, and I think that's why I kind of wanted to do this show as a retrospective, because I feel like my opinions on this entire series, if you can call it a series, I guess it's more of a franchise because you got two remakes and one sequel, and then obviously the original. So it's not really where there's five Carrie films that are different and shit like that. Like, it doesn't work that way, kind of thing. It's not one of those kind of series. So I guess it's more of a franchise. But I do have some different opinions on this one, so I thought this would be a fun show. And oh look, who is in the heezy? The horror boy, my good buddy Nate, man. We are partying like it's fucking 1976. Oh yeah, Master Fear's here too. Of course I'm talking about the original. I got the original on blue here, bro. I got the original on blue. No worries. I'm going to be reviewing all of them. Every movie that has Carrie in the title, I'm going to be reviewing that on the show here today. And I'm pretty stoked. I've been looking forward to this. But before I get into the Carrie films, before I get into my thoughts on all these movies, I do have a little bit of a Blu-ray slash DVD update kind of thing here. I got this in the mail yesterday. I pre-ordered it back in like late January, early February. And it is none other than The Lodge on Blu-ray. Hell yeah. I got the slipcover of this. Pretty freaking fire, man. It's pretty freaking fire. It also comes with like a digital code, but I have no use for that. But I rewatched this last night on Blu-ray, and man, I gotta say, this is a fucking fantastic horror film. I hear, I'm not positive, but I believe this is streaming on certain platforms. I believe Hulu. That is the word on the grapevine. I don't have any of that shit other than Amazon Prime, and it's not on Amazon Prime. So I don't know. If you have Hulu, you can give this a watch. If not, I highly recommend the Blu-ray. It only goes for about $15, and I highly freaking recommend this. I think the transfer was really good. I thought the cinematography was really good. The acting, especially from Riley Keough, was really good. And I don't know, I just enjoy this entire movie. It has good atmosphere, has good pacing to it. I think it had good characters, really interesting plot where I think it goes a lot of places where you don't know, specifically. But I really thoroughly enjoyed The Lodge. I highly recommend people pick this one up on Blue. This is not one I want to get into spoilers on or get into a full-on review of, but I did pick this up on Blue. And I got a couple more Blues coming, I guess I could talk about before I get into the main topic of the show. Ty Junebug in the Heezy. What's going on, good brother? Oh, I see you got a new pro pick. I love it, man. I love it. I heard that you're trying to get to 420 subscribers, man. I thought that was a pretty cool number, personally. But I hope you get there, man. I'm still stuck on a sexy 169 subscribers. So hey, if you're gonna have low subscriber count, it might as well be a sexy number. That's what I'm saying. I remember once, we'll get off into John Grande the miniseries here. I remember one time I had a math test and I got a 69 on it. And being an idiot that I am, I said out loud, I was like, well, if you're going to do bad, you might as well get a sexy grade. And I remember I almost got detention for saying that because my teacher got really fucking pissed. She was like, you didn't fucking study and you got a 69 on this test and you're joking about it. And I remember being like, oh, I'm really sorry. And then my friend Chris got like a 49. And I was like, Chris, you were 1 point away from two gumballs. And fucking, oh my God, dude. Like, I had so much heat with that teacher. She hated my dumb ass. But, like, I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny, personally. Yeah. And to me, if you do something bad like that, a bad grade, whatever, you got to make a joke out of it. You got to just, like, kind of brush it off and go, you know what, I'll get them next time, kind of thing. That's personally me, though. Yeah, I don't know why we subbed off into that, but we did. So I apologize. My dearest apologies. But I got two Blu-rays coming in the mail too. One of them is the double feature that is out of print now. It is of The House That Vanished and the Eerie Midnight Horror Show, and that was both put out by Code Red I have one of them up here. I think I do. I don't. I feel like if I start digging through, I'll never get to where I gotta get to. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It was out of print. They basically did these double feature horror movie sets. They released three of them. At This is the third one. This is the third and final one. Unfortunately, it went out of print so fucking quick that unfortunately I couldn't get my hands on it until I won it at a horror auction that was aired around last week, like early last week. And I won that. So I got that coming in on I think next week. I think maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So I'm super stoked. I won that in the auction. And I also pre ordered the classic, very severely underrated Lucky McKee, The Woman, on Blu-ray. It's going to be released by Arrow later this month. I can't wait to get that. The features are chock full. Apparently, I'm not positive, but someone told me a 4K transfer. If that's the fact, like a 4K digital transfer or whatever, if that's the case, that movie's going to look spotless, man, because I had a shitty bootleg of it. So I'm really excited to upgrade that one to blue. That's going to be a really, really cool upgrade one. I think you'll have more subscribers than me. I only have 102. Well, hey, man, when you get to a sexy number again, let me know, because that's always the fun part of it. The teacher did need to chill, man. She was unfortunately really mean. I know it's 6'9", but what is 169? It's whatever you want it to be, Ty. That's the fun of it. Yeah, man. So I don't know. I'm stoked about those Blu-rays coming in. I'm stoked it's Friday, and I'm stoked that I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite horror characters, like I said before, in the legendary Carrie. And it all started in 1976 when Brian De Palma helmed the director's chair, and Stephen King's name was forever thrown out to pop culture and society. And this is really the movie where his name was put on it first. This is kind of the original Stephen King adaptation. And obviously, we all know how big Stephen King went on to become. And it is none other than Brian De Palma's Carrie from 1976. I absolutely adore this movie. This is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Actually, I did a top 20 horror movies of all time list back on my channel before I started doing graveyard episodes. And I had this at number 5. And is it still number 5? I don't know. Like, I don't know specifically. I honestly think Last House on the Left has really moved up that list. I had it at number 20. I think now Last House on the Left would have to be in my top 10 just because I love that movie and I've seen it to death. And like, I just always go back and rewatch Last House on the Left just because of how gritty and grimy it is. But man, Carrie is one of the best horror films ever made, in my humble opinion. And I think it's just absolutely phenomenal. Of course, it stars Sissy Spacek as Carrie. It stars Piper Laurie, who was coming off like, I think something like a 15-year acting hiatus. She was in The Hustler in 61, and then she did not act until 1976 when she did this. So she took about a 15-year hiatus from acting. I don't know why, but she's always been a fantastic horror movie. And fantastic actress at that. I think she is really, really good, especially in this. Of course, you have John Travolta as one of the, bullies boyfriends. I always thought that was really cool to see him in there. He actually gets top billing or second billing on here. I always thought that was kind of cool. And the movie tells the story of Carrie White, a girl that is picked on in school, a girl that gets bullied severely, unfortunately. And the thing that I always like to mention with this is the opening scene. And I think so few people talk about the opening scene of this movie, where it's a bunch of girls in gym class and they're playing whatever, and then they're returning from gym class. And what Brian De Palma does is he slows down the shot, and you see the regular girls, you see the bitchy girls, you see some of these girls in the shower, and of course we see young Carrie White in the shower, and she has her very first period. And because her mother is such a crazy religious freak, Carrie doesn't know what a period is. She doesn't know what womanhood is. She's as green to being a woman as you can be. And she starts bleeding, and she starts freaking out, thinking that she's cut, thinking that that all hell's broken loose. And all these girls start kind of watching her and laughing at her and saying crappy stuff to her, like "plug it up, bitch," and throwing tampons at her. Really fucked up shit, man. Like, it's bullying to a whole different goddamn level, if you will. De Palma is a great director. I totally agree. I love Brian De Palma, and I think he is arguably the biggest reason why this movie works. I don't think if you give this to a different director, I don't think it would have worked as well. I really, really don't. I think his direction is the reason I go back and rewatch this movie, and I think it's easily the reason why it's my favorite Carrie film. May get some hate here, but I'm not a fan of the movie. All right, hey, I love this movie. I can't say that, but I mean, we will see in the comments what everybody else thinks. Carrie and The Shining are my favorite Stephen King movies. I can't choose which one I like better, though. You know, isn't that funny, though? The first two adaptations are some people's favorite. I would agree with you. Those are my two favorite Stephen King movies as well. And, you know, I would go Shining a little bit over Carrie, but, man, it's definitely a tight race, I would say. Dude, me too. I don't know. I'm sure you have. You're a big film buff. The Fury from 1978, which, again, brings back Amy Irving. I think that's a fantastic film too, and it also has to deal with a little bit of telekinesis. It's a good movie, not a horror movie, but it's definitely a good movie. And De Palma, of course, went on to do Scarface. I mean, he's done so many fucking classic movies. We all absolutely love Brian De Palma. I think he's really one of the big reasons why this movie works. What's up, good brother Aiden Vavra? What's going on, my brother? I hope everything is well with you. Nowadays, Carrie to call me. I love the original Carrie. It's a classic, dude. I 100% agree. I love the original Carrie. Yeah, the bullying in this movie is pretty fucking bad. People get Carrie gets bullied to hell, man. To me, the horror film isn't the body count at the end. It's the psychic powers. To me, it's the real life horrors of bullying and harassment. 100%, Nate. 100%. That is why this movie works. And that's why I think it's an underrated horror gem in that way, because a lot of people just go to the massacre scene. A lot of people go, "Oh, that prom scene is fun," and yeah, that prom scene is great. In a lot of ways, this movie is really a build up to the final 15-20 minutes. Like it's almost like an entire filled tension ride that De Palma slowly but surely eases us into, and then bam, the climax is just ape shit, you know. And I love that. I think that's a genius way to make a movie, because if the tension's built right, if the tension's executed right, you got a classic. And I think that's exactly what Brian De Palma was able to do here. I think Piper Laurie as the mother is so much fucking fun because she's so crazy. You know, Eve was weak, and the first sin was intercourse. Say it. Like, she's yelling at fucking Carrie. Carrie's like, "I am, Mom, I am." And she throws her into the like religious room and shit. And you sit there and you think about what you do. You know, like Piper Laurie plays a pretty fucking crazy religious bitch, and she is fun, man. She does such a good job. In turn, she got nominated for an Oscar, which I think is so cool that Carrie got nominated for some Oscars. Like, that's one of few horror movies that got nominated, and I am glad it did, because this is a fucking masterpiece in my opinion. Of course, you have all the bully characters. One of them is actually PJ Souls. She's like one of the side bullying characters. Of course, you got Hargensen, who I always thought was just so fantastic. He's a really, really vindictive, evil bully. And they're given, all these bullies, these girls are given the ultimatum by their gym teacher. You either do my detention or you get 3-day suspension and refusal of your prom tickets. And all the girls oblige because they want to go to the prom, except Hargensen, of course. And she goes, "You know what? You're a bitch. And if we stand together, she can't take us down." And the gym teacher, open hand, bitch slaps this girl. Oh my God, I pop every fucking time for that. You can't do that nowadays, man. And I pop for that shit, because that girl deserved it. You're being a bitch to authority figure. You deserve to get a fucking smack in the face. Learn your respect. Of course, Hargensen doesn't learn her respect, and she decides to hit up John Travolta, and they scheme for the perilous plot of pig's blood on prom night. Excellent fucking stuff, man. I love that. She plays a really, really good bully in this. And, you know, I think a lot of things that get lost in this film are De Palma's direction and his split shots. And there are some scenes where, you know, somebody would just go pick up the phone and it's through the eye of like one of the keyholes. I thought that was really creative. You know, De Palma was an up and comer at this time. And I think this movie really, you know, he started to come into his own. I believe he did Sisters a few years before this with Margot Kidder, which I also really love. That's a really, really good movie. I believe he directed that. If I'm wrong, you can feel free to correct me. I think a lot of the ways he sets these shots up. And of course, you know, I think one of the best scenes in horror history is that prom scene. And we can get into that prom scene where Carrie and Tommy Ross, who's played by the legendary William Catt, who went on to be in House, who went on to be in, you know, so many awesome movies. I always love William Catt. You know, he takes her to the prom due to Amy Irving begging him to, the Sue Snell character. they go to the prom and he's dancing with her, and slowly but surely, you really realize that he is a good guy to his core and he's trying to give Carrie a great night. And he does feel bad for this girl because she's been so bullied and stuff like that. And Carrie, and him win the prom king and queen. It's fixed that way. And there's a scene where Carrie and Tommy Ross are walking to the stage, and what De Palma does, this is masterful direction. He slows the music down and he slows the scene down, like where they're walking in slow motion up to the stage. And Sissy Spacek's performance here this is why it's a great performance. It's at that moment that Carrie White realizes, I've hit my peak. I'm accepted now. And I think anybody and everybody can relate to that, whether you've been there or not. We've all in high school or college or wherever have wanted to be accepted for who we are. And at that moment, she's looking around, all these people are clapping and smiling at her, and she feels that this is the peak of my life, the literal peak of climbing to the stage and being crowned. Excellent, excellent symbolic kind of theme there. And I think that is so fucking brilliant, man. Because what we know, but she doesn't know is she's going to hit her peak, and by the time she gets off that stage, she's going to be a completely different person. Of course, Hargensen drops the pig blood on her, and Carrie and her telekinetic powers go AWOL. I mean, this is an awesome, awesome massacre scene. And the way, again, the way De Palma builds it, the way the tension is built, where, you see the rope of the pig blood and Sue Snell kind of realizes it, but it's just too late. And the gym teacher's pushing Sue Snell out the door thinking she's trying to prank Carrie, where it's Hargensen that's pranking Carrie. And it's all so well done. It's all just a big misunderstanding. And that moment where her pig blood gets dropped on her and she just kind of realizes, like, you sons of bitches, none of this was genuine, was it? The bucket crashes down on William Katt's head, which is always, I thought, just been a horrific, one of the most horrific parts of the scene, is that the guy that did absolutely nothing wrong, he did everything right, he gets cracked in the head with the bucket and dies on the stage. Like, that's fucking dark, man. Always thought that was such a dark thing to do. But it's the best way to get rid of his character, because you don't want her to kill him, because we all know as an audience that he wasn't a bad guy. He was a good guy. And I thought that was a really smart way to take it. Of course, she turns the fire hose on people. She closes all the doors with her telekinetic powers. There guys grabbing the microphone. She electrocutes them. I mean, excellent, excellent stuff. It's a really cool massacre scene. And I like that De Palma, he shoots a lot of it, again, in that classic split screen. There's people dying on the left side of the screen, and then Carrie is slowly but surely walking down the stage on the right side of the screen with the fire and all of the chaos that she has created around her. And that's one of my favorite shots in the history of horror movies, is Carrie literally walking off the stage with the destruction and chaos that she is causing behind her. Because in a lot of ways, like I just said, she's causing it, but in reality, the bullies caused it. The bullies caused their own downfall. And it's such a tragedy. And that's why this movie works. That's why the horror in this movie works. It's the horrors of bullying, like Nate was saying before. It is the horrors of not being accepted, and it's the horrors of the consequences of those things. Sometimes we may feel horrible about something we said to somebody else, and sometimes we may regret it. These people sure as hell regretted it, I'll tell you that much. It's an excellent Carrie goes home, of course, and her mother is her mother is, of course, going batshit. There's a crazy battle between those two, and we're all thinking that, oh, Carrie died, and Sue Snell is visiting the grave in the final scene where it's Carrie's grave, Carrie's house burnt down, and the whole thing on the tombstone, Carrie White will burn in hell. That tombstone may or may not be in my graveyard. I'll leave it up to you. But I love that Sue Snell puts the flowers on her grave, and bam, you get that classic shock ending of Carrie ripping out of the ground, grabbing Sue Snell, and Sue Snell is dreaming, but she's screaming. And I'll always love that Stephen King saw us in the theater, and he said that he saw these two gentlemen in front of him, and they said, that bitch ain't never going to be the same. So true. She's going to live with the horrors of this movie and that prom night for the rest of her life. And I think that is horror at its finest, man. De Palma's direction, The lead performances by Spacek and Piper Laurie. I even love John Travolta. I love all the bully characters. PJ Souls does a fun job as the, kind of side bully. I just think everybody does a great job. The creepy Carrie, even that little kid. I just think all of this stuff really works, and I think this is cemented as one of the best horror movies of all time. I will come in with the perfect score on this one. I think this is a 10 out of 10. I think it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations. I think it is a perfect encapsulating of the horrors of bullying in cinema and why I love horror movies. Carrie, absolute all-time classic. Giving it the perfect score, 10 out of 10. Absolutely love that one. Okay, so we got a bunch of comments. Let's see. Okay, and now Brian De Palma's next project is all about the scumbag Harvey Weinstein. Well, let's hope he fucking shits on his legacy, because Harvey Weinstein's a piece of shit. No matter what decade it is, to me, horror is crazy religious aspects and bullying. Yeah, that's true. That always kind of stands the test of time, because it's always relevant. Bullying will always be a thing. Religion will always be a thing. There's not two things that there aren't fads. They don't really go away. They come in different shapes and sizes, I guess. To relate to the whole bullying thing in the movie, that really connects with me, even though I'm not a girl. I think, yeah, it speaks to anybody and everybody that was ever bullied. That's the thing. Like, I mean, I'll be the first one to say I was bullied once in 8th grade. I was bullied every day. I mean, I had this kid that just had it in for me. I don't know why. It ended poorly. I had to fight the kid, and it sucks, but I felt her pain, maybe not quite as much. I don't know if anybody's been bullied that bad, and if they have, they obviously deserve the consequence that Carrie White ends up, giving them. But it's a real thing, and we can all relate to that. And I think that's why this movie speaks the loudest of volumes. Thank you, Autocorrect. Nowadays, Carrie could call me onto those girls. Brian De Palma can make a very interesting Friday 13th movie. Yeah, I mean, you seem to want everybody to do Friday 13th movie. I don't know. We'll see. We will certainly see who makes the next Friday 13th movie. I hope it's somebody knows what the fuck they're doing, for sure. Love this movie for sure. It's a true classic. Totally agree. 10 out of 10 for me too. Totally. 10 out of 10 for Aiden. So yeah, we're all going with the perfect score here. I think it's one of the best horror movies of all time. I'm sorry to hear that, Master of Fear. I will say, best thing to do was to talk to somebody about it. I think that's always the best direction to go, because I talked to my parents about it when I was being bullied, and they just said, listen, you got to handle this, and we got your back, and count your blessings. That's the most beautiful thing in life. When you count your blessings and you know that people got your back, bullying isn't as bad as it can be. If you just sit there and let it eat you alive, it can become a pretty horrible thing. But with that said, we're going to move on from the original classic Carrie to the sequel. I don't have the sequel. I really would love to get the Scream Factory, Shout Factory Blu-ray double feature that is, of course, out of print now, of the Rage Carrie 2 and the Angela Bettis Carrie remake. If anyone ever sees that for a low price and don't want it, feel free to send it my way. It goes for over $100 on eBay for most people, and I'm just like, yo, that's fucking crazy. Like, I'm not paying $100 for this. Like, and the guy's like, oh, it's not even free shipping either. I was like, dude, you're a piece of shit. Like, that's not worth $109. Like, what are you talking about? Absolute bullshit. But we get into a sequel here, and this one might get me some heat, because I like this movie. I like this sequel. I like The Rage Carrie 2. That is right. I like this movie, and everyone's probably like, oh, we fucking thought this guy had a good opinion on horror movies. But hear me out. I like this movie. Oh no, Nate. Oh no. By the way, before I get into this, Nate has a very fun rant on this movie on his channel. It's one of the first videos he did. It is so fucking funny, man. He bashed the shit out of this movie. I'm a fan of this movie, but it is so entertaining, his goddamn rant on it. I highly recommend you watch his rant on it. But I'm gonna go to bat for the movie here. Yeah, it's the rage in the brain, rage in the cage. Aiden's never seen it. I'm gonna recommend it to you here, Aiden. I'll try not to spoil everything, but I will do a spoiler part. So I'll let you know. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything without saying here's spoilers. Thanks, man, dude. Anytime, Nate. Your channel's awesome. Okay, so The Rage Carrie 2. I could read a little plot synopsis here. A horrible massacre strikes up after an outcast teenage girl is taunted by a group of high school jocks, all aware of them, unaware of her cutthroat telekinetic powers. That's a really shitty synopsis. I will say that right off the bat. IMDb, you didn't do your job there. Um, I will say this. The movie is more about this character named Rachel, and she goes to school, and her friend Arnie, who's actually played by the legendary, uh, oh my god, what's her damn name from Mina Suvari? I almost forgot her name from American Beauty. Of course, we get to see her nice voluptuous titties and that. Always awesome to see her. Same year, I believe. This was 1999. Yeah, so same year as American Beauty, weirdly enough, or yeah, I think it was 1999. It was American Beauty. It might have been 2000. I'm not positive. So around that time, Mina Suvari, she has sex with one of these players on the football team, and he impregnates her. She confronts him about this, and little does he know that he was her first. He popped her cherry, baby, which I don't know how he didn't realize, but he didn't realize. And she is like, "You listen, I'm pregnant, and I trust everything to you. You took my virginity for me." And he kind of brushes her off. He's like, I don't want any part of this. I'm sorry. If you're gonna raise that baby, you're gonna raise it alone. This really, really kills Arnie on the inside. And basically she gets to the top of the roof of the school, jumps off, and commits suicide. I think that's excellent, man. I think it's absolutely excellent setup for Rachel's character, who I think does a really, really good job in this film as she's kind of now a telekinetic. I know a lot of people. Okay, first off the bat, before we can get really, really into this, a lot of people hear this and they just go, "Fuck this movie. I'm not watching this." Like, it's kind of one of those things where people are just like, "I don't want to see this. There never needs to be a sequel to Carrie," and I will agree. Did there ever have to be a sequel to this movie? No way. I agree. There did not have to be a sequel to the original Carrie. This is a perfect film. I completely understand. I'll be the first one to tell you that. However, I think what they did here was really good. I like that setup. I really do like that setup. And then, of course, Rachel character, she kind of falls for one of the guys on the football team. And slowly but surely, we realize that they're a bunch of dumbass high school jocks and they do all this bizarre shit. Like they tape her and the guy that she's interested in having sex. And, that later comes into play. And of course, Sue Snell actually returns, Amy Irving, the same actress, she returns as she's now the principal, and she's trying to prevent what happened in the first Carrie from happening in Carrie 2. And I don't know, man. I think the performances in this are really good. I think the tone of it is really good. I think it very much reminds me of the late teen comedies of the 90s, movies like American Pie. It's like Not Another Teen Movie. And what if you hate that era of comedies, you definitely won't like this. I can totally tell you that much. But it's that formula transformed over into a horror film, into a Carrie film. And I don't think that's too bad. And I think they changed enough where I'm not watching this and going, oh, this is just the original. This is just a fucking ripoff. Is it really though? I mean, other than the telekinetic part of it and this girl being bullied, I think they set up a lot of different stuff where it's this time instead of women and girls being the primary bullies, this time it's guys. This time it's these nasty, disgusting football players who don't want this, they call her a lesbian. They call her the slang word for lesbian. They don't want her ruining their chances to get to the NFL, which is, I swear to God, that is a plot point in this. And they decide to expose poor Rachel. And I don't know, man. I always thought this was really, really well done sequel. It leads up to, and spoilers here. I'm going to spoil some stuff here. So if you haven't seen it, no worries. You can turn me off for a little bit. I'm assuming you can guess what happens. I mean, it's not like groundbreaking or anything. But they all go to this party towards the end, and they release the sex tape of her and the boy that she entrusted everything to, and Rachel literally goes fucking ape shit. She starts, getting all these weird tattoos and veins, and it's bulging, and she's going ape shit, killing all these people. And to say that it is a massacre is an understatement. I mean, this really is a rage. I think the title fits it perfectly, where she rages out and kills all these motherfuckers in some brutal ways. There's one woman who has like a harpoon gun and she's about to shoot Carrie, and she not Carrie, Rachel, and she looks at Rachel, and Rachel kind of just looks at her and her glasses explode into her eyes, and like her eyes just like full, and she's just like convulsing on the floor. Fucking terrifying, man. That shit's crazy. There's a point where this fucking crazy stray pole comes flying through the door, and it goes through the head of two people. Fucking wild, man. I mean, the massacre scene in this is I adore it. I think it was really, really well done. It ends where they're in a pool and Carrie, I'm sorry, I keep saying Carrie. Rachel closes the pool cover on these people and like they're drowning and shit. One guy gets shot with a harpoon gun in the balls. Like it's fucking wild. I think it is a fucking fun finale. It is a true rage. And I totally feel like again she was justified. The bullying aspects are done perfectly in this movie, and the bullies they work as almost like a frat where they all shave their heads to show their machismo. And I know Nate shit on that in the review. It was really funny. I was in tears laughing, but that's some dumb shit that people would do. You know that like we all know those jocks in our lives where they just oh my god they were so unlikable, and you're just like oh my god like I fucking can't stand these people, and they're into all these stupid fads or you know whatever, and oh we're all gonna shave our heads because you know it makes you want them dead even more to me. And when they get their comeuppance, I think it's just oh so sweet. I love the Rage Carry too. I think it's a really good flick. Is there some exposition problems with this movie? Sure. Like at one point, it's implied that the reason the connection with this movie and the original is that they had the same father, or their sisters, their stepsisters, if you will. Okay, that did that have to be in there? Not really. It's also really a throwaway line. People don't even realize that that line is said, but it is said, and it's you know it is what it is. I mean, that line is what it is. Not a big deal to me, and it's not a make or break thing for me. But I do think this movie's pretty strong. I think it's pretty underrated. When I think of underrated sequels, this is definitely one that comes up to me because it's in no way I think unoriginal when it comes to the rage scenes and when it comes to how they portray the bullying in this movie. It's a little bit different animal. I think this is one of those movies. It does suffer though. It does suffer from the title. It's like Halloween 3. People hear the Rage Carrie 2 and they go, I'm not fucking watching that. I love Carrie and that's it. I highly recommend this movie, though. I think it's a lot better than the fucking Chloe Grace Moretz remake, which I will be ranting on the episode. So a little spoiler alert there. I like it. I like the Rage Carry too. I'm going to come in at a 7.5 out of 10. I highly, highly, highly enjoy the Rage Carry 2. Sue me. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not alone. The Rage Carry 2 is underrated. Probably if I made a list, it's in my top 10 most underrated horror movies. See, I'm not alone. Good Ty Junebug Films. He was with me here. I'm glad. I'm very glad to hear that. Never knew there was a Carrie sequel. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. And when they hear that there's one, they just go, fuck this. I'm not watching this shit. I understand, but I don't know. I personally enjoy the movie. I watch it around every October time for some reason. It's a guilty pleasure for me. I kind of always dug it. It's for no reason does it deserve its rating on IMDb of a 4.7. I think Emily Burgle does a good job. I think the fucking movie has a good tone. I don't know, man. I fucking enjoy it. Oh, Nate, I respect your opinion. As I always respect yours too, my good friend. And I loved your rant. Even though I love this movie, your rant was fantastic. I could do this movie no justice compared to that rant, but I tried to go to bat for it here. So, you know, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, got one person to give it a whirl. You know, like I said, don't. It's not the original Carrie, but it's not a piece of shit either. I don't know. I think I look at it as like the American Pie era horror movie attempt. That's how I kind of see this movie. 2 out of 10 for me. Sorry. Oh my god. Nate's opened up. That's the rating I gave Rest Stop, which Nate also really likes, which was a really funny conversation in and of itself. Me and Nate should get on here one of these days to do like movies that I love, hates, and then vice versa. Nate loves that I hate. That would be a funny fucking show. I would be all down for that, man. So if you're ever free to do that, we could just do a list of like 5 each. Oh my god, that shit would be really funny. Granted, we do agree on a lot, so it wouldn't be the easiest thing in the world, but I think we could. Fast forward now. Fast forward. So that movie, actually, The Rage Carry 2, was a flop at the box office. People didn't care for it. People hated it. Stephen King hated it. I think the director did a good job, by the way. I didn't mention her name, Kat Shea. I think Kat Shea did a good job. Unfortunately, she didn't get much work after that, which is a crying shame because I think she did a good job. 3 years later, you had to fast forward to the TV movie of Carrie, starring the legendary, one of my horror actresses of all time. And I will say this on every show that I have to mention Angela Bettis in. It's Angela Bettis, of course. I love Angela Bettis. I think she is a phenomenal, phenomenal actress. And her portrayal of Carrie, this is going to shock people. This will have people doing cartwheels and flips and hating me, but it's the truth. I think she plays the character of Carrie the best. I love Angela Bettis as Carrie. And here, I think personally, Sissy Spacek was amazing. And I believe Sissy Spacek may have been nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars, which is incredible. And she was fantastic. I absolutely love Sissy Spacek as Carrie. However, when I think of the moment that I truly started getting into horror films, it's when I was a little kid, and I remember I used to rent videos at this video store called 48 Hours. And in the window, they had the promotional poster for this movie. And that'll be the thumbnail of this video. And it's basically it's the promotional poster. It's a black and white, right down the middle with Carrie on the pig's blood on her, covered on her dress and her face and everything. And it's Angela Bettis. That, for whatever reason, that promo poster just wanted to make me see this movie. And I would rent it again and again and again. I freaking love the Carrie TV movie. And now we have in the comments, Ty Jumbo calling a miniseries. It's actually not a miniseries. It was planned to be a miniseries, but unfortunately, the people that were involved weren't interested in doing it. The director, no, not the director, Brian Fuller, who was one of the writers / producers, he said that the whole thing was a ploy just to get a remake of Carrie made, which is eventually what they did. But you're right, they do set it up for a miniseries at the end, but that miniseries never came to fruition. So it's really just a TV movie remake, in my opinion. That's what it is. What is my favorite film villain? Pamela Springsteen, Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, easily, not even a question. I love Pamela Springsteen. But getting into the Carrie 2002 TV movie, you have Angela Bettis as Carrie. You have Patricia Clarkson as the Piper Laurie role, her mother. And I will say right off the bat, I think whereas in the original Carrie, Piper Laurie was very animated with her, religious beliefs and stuff like that. Patricia Clarkson kind of hits the brakes and is not as over the top. She's very calm, cool, and collected in this performance. And I think she does a hell of a job. Is she better than Piper Laurie? No. But I will say that I think this is the way to tackle it as opposed to trying to outdo Piper Laurie, which is what I think Julianne Moore does in the 2013 remake. She's trying to go over the top of the two, whereas Patricia Clarkson, I think she takes a very much more dialed back, a very much more serious take on a religious nut. And I think she does a really good job. There's a scene where the two of them are eating dinner and she tells him, Mom, I'm going to go to the prom with Tommy. And she says, no, you're not. Where in the original, it gets to this really bad yelling, shouting match. Patricia Clarkson says, no, you're not, Carrie. And then she gets up and she's like, Mommy, you need to sit here and talk with me about this. And she's just like, you're a witch. Then you've always been a witch, and I've always been afraid of you because of that. And there's a scene in this, which is in no other Carrie movie. It is in the book, but no other Carrie movie. And, it's Carrie as a little girl. And she sees this girl sunbathing in the back and in, the yard next to her. And she says, oh, what are those? And she's looking at the girl's tits and she's like, these are boobs. And she's like, I hope I get them one day, which is a fucking crazy scene. And Patricia Clarkson's like, Carrie, get away from this fucking whore and stuff like that. And grabs her in the house. And all of a sudden, this crazy ass meteor shower starts hitting. So we get the idea that, not only can she do telekinesis powers, she can even fucking make meteors fall down to Earth. Like, this is a whole different level of the telekinetic powers. And some people fucking hate that. I know that this movie's main criticism is, the usage of the telekinesis. I personally like it. I think it's really well done. And the thing with this movie that I think is why I like this way better as a remake as opposed to the 2013 one is everybody in the cast stands out. And that is one thing that I fucking beat into the ground till I'm blue in the face. If you have a cast that stands out, your film is that much more elevated. You have Emile de Rabin as Chris Hargensen in this movie. She also went on to be in the Hills Have Eyes remake. She's a very beautiful actress. She plays such a good, vindictive Chris Hargensen. She does the character so much justice, I think, because she's beautiful and bad. Who knows the reference? Who knows the reference? If you know the reference, you get it first, you win a fucking prize. I don't know what prize I'm going to give you because I can't give you a prize, but you win bonus points if you get it. Emile DeRavin as Chris Hargan, she does a fantastic job. I love her. You have Katherine Isabelle, another scream queen, of course, from Ginger Snaps. Ginger Snaps back. See No Evil 2, American Mary. She plays the PJ Souls character. She stands out. You have David Keith as the lead detective going through, some of the survivors, because yes, in this movie you get survivors of the prom. I thought that was an interesting take on it. And you go back and forth between the past and present of the people that survived the prom talking about the prom, and then what led up to the prom. I like that dynamic. I think that was a different way to tackle it. It's the only adaptation to do that. The Sue Snell character in this movie does a really, really, really good job. The actress's name is Candice Mcclure. I've not seen her in too much else. She may have been something else I've seen, but it's just not ringing a bell. I think she does a really good job as Sue Snell. It's funny, they give her the exact same hairdo as the Sue Snell in the original, which is bizarre because it's like kind of set in modern day. And you don't see people with that hairdo anymore for sure. Uh, oh wait, so we got some comments here. Angela, those definitely the hottest Carrie. See, we'll get into that. I love Angela Bettis for sure, but we'll get into my problem with who I think is actually the hottest Carrie. Dream Wars, well, hell yeah, you know it. Is to read the novel of Carrie. It's very well done. The meteor shower is from the novel. Yes, it is from the novel, and I like that they throw that into this adaptation. See, to me, if you're going to remake something, don't do it shot for shot. Add shit that they left out. Oh, you left this out of the book? I still have the book as source material. I'm going to use that to my advantage. And you're interviewing survivors. That's something different too. I like that. I don't mind that. Why do you think Carrie went crazy? Why do you think this happened? Why do you think Hargensen decided to throw the blood on her? And we get some explanations. We get some cool acting scenes in an interrogation room. Safe to say you don't see that in any other fucking Carrie film. I think they did enough different here, along with, it's obviously it is a remake. They do a lot of the same as well. I'm not saying they don't, but I think everybody stands out. That's first and foremost. Whereas the 2013 remake, nobody fucking stands out. I think the bullying is, again, it's crazy. They put all these tampons in Carrie's locker. When she opens the locker, all these tampons fall out and she gets laughed at in front of all the people in the school. And, of course, you do have the classic line, they're all going to laugh at you. And of course, it's not as over the top delivered here. It's, they're all going to laugh at you. Listen to like your mother, like, I love you. Like, don't do this. And you do feel, I mean, I personally felt for Angela Bettis the most out of all of these Carries. I'll be honest. And it's her performance that I think elevates this to a different level. I think without her, if you just got a regular Joe Blow, whatever, to, be the actress in the lead, I don't think it would have worked. Of course, Angela Bettis would go on to do May, and a lot of people forget, which I actually, I never knew this. Apparently, it was the other way around. This was released first, but she did May first, and then got the role to do this from May, but May wasn't released. I don't know. It's a whole hullabaloo, but it's funny because in the reverse way is how I got to know Angela Bettis and how I fell in love with Angela Bettis was I watched this and then I saw May come out the following year and I was like, oh my God, I got to check this out. This is the same actress. And in that movie, I think she gives the best performance of her career, one of the best performances in the history of the genre. I love Angela Bettis in May. But I also love her here. I think she's great. I think she's sympathetic. I think that she brought a lot new to the table where there was a lot of ways where she had this vulnerability and this kind of insecure sense to her because there's scenes in this where she actually talks to Chris Hargensen. You don't get a lot of that in the original, a lot of dialogue between those two. There's a scene where Chris Hargensen kind of just goes, you might be getting set up here. Don't you think that, Carrie? She's like, who would want to set me up? And she's like, oh, that's Sue Snell. She's a total bitch. I mean, she's turned her back to me. And they give her a lot more heat in this movie. I think the Chris Hargensen character is even more of a fucking vindictive bitch in this version. And in turn, I think she's a lot more attractive of an actress, which it's just so much. You're just like, oh my God, like I've seen this girl before. The bitchy girl from high school that thinks her poop doesn't stink. We've all met that girl, and they're generally blonde. No offense to blonde people, but that's fucking the case usually. But yeah, like I just think Emily, whatever, DeRavin, she does a great job as Chris Hargensen. I absolutely fucking love her as Chris Hargensen. And you get to the prom scene. You get to the prom scene after a lot of really cool, there's a cool scene. There's a bathtub scene with Carrie where she thinks, she's drowning at one point. I loved that scene. That was really cool. You don't see that in a lot of the other versions. Of course, you see the bathtub scene later in the, after post prom. But I think the fucking massacre scene is great in this movie. And I will say, where it may not be my favorite, I think the original is my favorite just because of how De Palma directed it, the massacre prom scene. I think in the Carrie remake, this one, the 2002 remake, I think this is the most brutal of all of them. Uh, for instance, the PJ Souls, the Katherine Isabelle character, she's trying to bust out the door and she turns around, she starts screaming and she smacks this one guy. You see the basketball hoop sort of start to unravel and it swings down and clocks her in the fucking head. And she's still kind of twitching, she's still alive. And then to finish her off, it just drops down and crushes her. Fucking wild, dude. I was watching this and I was like, holy shit. Like as a kid, like I was fucking running around the room in circles. I was like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy. Of course, he does the Tommy character. He does get clocked on the head, of course, unfortunately, again, which I think it's really cold again here. And they all go to his aid and they're like, oh, God, Tommy. That's horrific in its own way. There's one guy who he gets one arm out of the door and the door just slam on his, and he's like, screaming for his fucking life. I thought that was fucking crazy. There's a scene where the scoreboard of the school, it falls down onto the floor, it's electrocuting, and then like the floor is all wet and everybody just gets electrocuted and goes down, which you ripped off the 2013 Carrie remake. I just got to say that. I thought that was amazing, where everybody that's on the dance floor is getting electrocuted. Where they do something like that in the original, where the three guys on the microphone get electrocuted, but it's done better here because like everybody that's on the dance floor gets fucking fried. It's fucking wild. I think the massacre scene in this is the most brutal in all of these movies for sure. And it's a lot better than the 23rd. Holy shit, I'm gonna take a big shit on that 23rd. I'm warming up to take the shit on the Chloe Grace Moretz one. I can't wait. But man, I love this, and a lot of people will say that they don't like this massacre scene for one big reason. It seems as though, and I've read articles about this where people say this doesn't work, but I have an argument. I think it does work. There's a point where somebody does this to Carrie, not to John Cena, but they're like, Carrie, you there? It looks like Angela Bettis is almost on autopilot during this entire massacre scene. A lot of people have a problem with that. I personally don't. It's the powers coming out and the rage coming out, and it's taking care of all of these motherfuckers that screwed and bullied poor Carrie White over. I think it is very well done. I think that was a very good direction to take it. It's almost as though Carrie was unaware. And I will say this, in the original Carrie, and people will not mention this, but I will mention it right here now. In the original Carrie, when she gets home, it's almost like she does no sell it. Like she's not like, oh, I killed them all, or it's no big promo, no big, they got what they deserved. She kind of just goes home and takes a bath. There's not really a moment where she's like, fuck those motherfuckers, I got them. None of that. You don't get any of that. She just goes home, she scrubs, and she says, you might know, Mama, you were right. And in a very calm way. In a lot of ways, it feels to me that maybe she wasn't in total fucking control of that either. It was part of the rage. It was all that pent up, bottled up emotion let out. I think that's what they were going for here, and I think it really fucking worked personally. There are chairs flying around, tables flying around, hitting people. I mean, I am a mark for this scene. I think this is arguably the best scene in any of the movies. I think it's really, really well done. I absolutely love this massacre scene at the prom. I think it's excellent. And then, of course, they do in the final 10, 15 minutes, they set it up for a mini series kind of thing where we think Carrie dies, but not really. And she does kill her mom. She kind of does like telekinesis to the mom's heart and gives her like a heart attack. I thought that was kind of funny. They do set it up where Sue Snell is driving her to another town and the movie kind of ends. I get that people don't like that, and I'll agree that I don't really like that part of the movie either, where setting it up for a miniseries, but that was the original intent. So I can't really say, oh, fuck the filmmaker for this, trying to set it up for a sequel bait ending. He was told it was going to be a miniseries. So in that way, I can't really fault him for that. I would say if I had like a director's cut of this movie, I would like cut that last 10 minutes out and just be like, Carrie died. Like that's perfectly fine, and your movie's not gonna have any problems after that, in my opinion. Um, I think this is a really good remake, and I know a lot of people disagree, but I saw that again. I think Ty Junebug really likes this one again, so I'm glad that I'm not alone again. Think this is a fantastic little remake. I think it's good. I think it does the right things. I think what it changes right. I think Angela Bettis, again, gives one of the best performances of her career. I think Patricia Clarkson gives a fantastic performance. I think all the bullies stand out. I think the massacre scene is done right. And I don't know, man. I enjoyed this movie. I think the direction is pretty good. I forget the director's name. Let me get his name. I think he did a really good job. David Carson, who hasn't done too much else. Brian Fuller wrote the teleplay. I think he did a fantastic job personally. So I will give the Carrie 2002 remake. Again, I'll come in about a 7.5. I really like the movie. 7.5 out of 10. I enjoy it. I think it is the best remake of the series because we're about to get into the shittiest one. Yeah, so 7.5 for the Carrie 2002 TV remake. I really do enjoy the movie. Oh boy, so Aiden's on the same page with me. So I'm gonna take a big dog shit on this one, buddy. Don't worry. Yeah, I like the idea she doesn't have control of the rage. I like that too. See, people that like the fucking remake, that like fucking Star Wars, where fucking Carrie is, oh my god. All right, we're gonna get into that rant. I will rant on that shit, because that shit, it is dog shit, as Aiden says. It's almost a rate. Yes, see, Nate, you get it. You get psychology. Some motherfuckers don't get horror psychology, and it bothers the fuck out of me. Okay, so now we get into Carrie 2013. I fucking hate this movie, and like, it eats me alive that this movie, people like this movie better than the Rage Carrie 2 and the 2002 TV movie. It blows my mind how this is the second highest rated Carrie film. That blows my mind's over here now. It blew off over that. That is fucking blasphemy. Oh god, where do I fucking start with this? Kimberly Pierce, who had directed Boys Don't Fucking Cry. That's who you got to fucking remake this, to direct this. Okay, right there. Why not bring Kat Shea back? Kat Shea did a fantastic job with part 2. Bring David Carson back. He did a good job with the fucking other remake. Nope, Kimberly Pierce. Okay, whatever. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2, Chloe Grace Moretz. And I know a lot of people will probably agree with me when I say that Chloe Grace Moretz is too fucking hot to be Carrie. And this is where I was going before, where Ty was saying that he felt Angela Bettis was the hottest Carrie. I would argue and say that this is the hottest Carrie, but that's the problem. Carrie shouldn't be fucking hot. Carrie is an outcast who ain't had no fucking friends. Carrie doesn't have big titties. Carrie doesn't have a big ass. In this movie, she has big titties and ass. What are you doing? What how am I supposed to believe Chloe Grace Moretz as a loser who has no fucking friends? Somebody with a fucking penis would have said, "Oh, this bitch is hot. I'm gonna go talk to her." End of story. She's not a loser anymore. In reality, okay? You tell me that nobody would have hit on Chloe Grace. Are you fucking crazy? Come on. You have Julianne Moore playing the mother character in this. I don't think she does a good job. I think she's so fucking over the top. Is it horrible? No, but in no ways as good as Patricia Clarkson's portrayal of the mother character. I think Patricia Clarkson did the right thing, because in a lot of ways you can't redo what Piper Laurie did, because you can't outdo Piper Laurie. So Patricia Clarkson, I think she hit the brakes and said, I'm going to dial this character back. Whereas Julianne Moore said, nope, I'm going to try to do the same thing. You're not Clarice Starling. You're not fucking Piper Laurie. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I like Julianne Moore as an actress, but she does not do a good job in this movie, in my opinion. You have one of my favorite actresses of all time, Judy Greer, who stinks, and I hate her. And oh my god, I hate her in this. I hate her in Halloween 2018. I hate Judy Greer with a burning passion. She can't act worth a lick. I hate Judy Greer. She's the sympathetic teacher. No, Carrie, fuck you. And I was saying before how in the 2002 remake, the bullies stand out. You got the sexy Katherine Isabelle in fucking short shorts and a slutty tee when they're playing softball. You have, that's Ginger Snaps. You have fucking Emily DeRabin being a fucking hoary, vindictive bully bitch. The bully in this movie, they don't stand out at all. They're lame. I don't know any of their names. I don't know any of their names, the actresses. I think they do a terrible job. That's the problem. If you're going to remake a classic, your characters have to stand out. They don't have to do that much. They have to go, oh, she was also in this, and oh, she's gorgeous. I can't take my eyes off her. That's a big part of film. You don't have any of that shit in this movie. It's boring too, and you rarely hear me saying that. And I like some boring films. I like some slow burns that people would be like, Grande, this is the cure for insomnia. I like some boring fucking movies. This is a boring fucking movie. I am sorry. This is boring. I'd rather fucking watch paint dry or grass grow than watch this fucking movie. You lead up to the prom scene, which this is my biggest fucking gripe, and the cheeks are spread. Here comes the shit. Okay, here you got Brock Lesnar. Here comes the pain. Here comes the pain. Okay, they do the prom scene, and she gets the pig's blood dumped on her, and she automatically somehow becomes the fucking emperor from Star Wars. She starts fucking force choking people and force pushing people and closing the bleachers on people, which people for some reason like that. Oh, they close the bleachers on them, man. That's stupid. I'm sorry. I know people that say, oh, Grande, you like the basketball hoop falling on somebody. You said that was really good. Okay, well, okay, I could see it. She didn't use the fucking force. She wasn't force choking people. She wasn't fucking force lightning people, which that doesn't happen in this either. But it fucking feels like it to me, man. It's so poorly done. She's floating off the stage. Woo! Fuck you. Are you joking? Carrie's not a Star Wars character, dude. All she was missing was a fucking lightsaber. She started throwing lightsabers at people. Holy shit, man. I saw this. I nearly had a fucking brain aneurysm. I'm sitting there, I'm like, fucking impossible. Like, I just don't know. Like, it's just, it was so poorly done. And they do where they're trying to make each bully suffer before no, they just have to die. They don't have to suffer. It's just not a fucking Freddy Krueger film. Holy shit. She kills the Chris Hargensen character. She slowly puts her face through a windshield, and then something hits the car and explodes from Carrie, and she walks away like fucking Iron Man. You're not Iron Man, bitch. You're Carrie White. Holy fuck. This ain't Iron Man. This ain't fucking Star Wars. This isn't the fucking Tantive 4. This was the prom. This was the black prom. And you shit all over it with a black piece of dog turd. Fuck this remake. Fuck this director, Kimberly Pierce. Kimberly, I hope you fucking never direct anything again. Go direct an episode of fucking Teen Mom. People like this movie. Tell me why. Tell me why. I mean, I don't fucking get it. How can you like this movie and tell me that Angela Bettis one is bad? Like, how? Like, Angela Bettis acted her fucking heart out. And this, I mean, okay. Does Chloe Grace Moretz do a bad job? That's a big thing. I don't think she does a bad job. I like Chloe Grace Moretz. And apparently, I'm not positive about this. I think she's a big horror fan. She's done a lot of horror films, and she was in the Suspiria remake, which I liked her in that brief role. Amityville Horror remake, which is a piece of shit too, but she didn't do a bad. I like Chloe Grace Moretz. I do. It's not her fault. This is one of those situations. It was not her fault. She's a fan of the character, and she got hold of a director that stinks. Worse than the dog shit that she created with this fucking movie. I hate this. I hate this with a burning passion, man. I just do. Remake is horrible. I agree with you. 2 out of 10 again. I got people laughing with my rant, I guess. How do I like Gabrielle Wild? And that's not because she's hot, but I think she's the only one who actually has talent in this remake. The Sue Snell character, yeah, not bad. Just I don't think she stands out. Like okay, maybe she is the standout, but that's not saying much, I guess, around these people. Not terrible. I'll agree with you, Ty. She's better than anybody else. I'll say that. I'll agree with that. Oh my god, people are laughing, man. Dude, I swear to God, it's exactly like the Iron Man shot. Okay, see how I am in the frame? I'm in the frame, right? Now picture I'm walking away from I'm fucking Iron Man. And this fucking car explodes behind her and she kind of gives like, you're not fucking Tony Stark. Are you fucking kidding me? I just can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. I tap. I tap. Are you happy, Kimberly? Are you happy? I tap. I'm done. I've had it. The worst. The absolute worst. I fucking hate this remake. I will come in at a solid I will come in at a solid dog shit out of 10. That will be my rating. One big dog turd out of 10. That's what I'll give this movie. Devin's right there with me. Yeah, one big I'll write it in the comments. One big dog turd out of 10. Boom. I've contributed to the chat now. I've contributed, baby. One big dog turd out of 10. I endorse that, man. Actually, would love to see Gabrielle Wild in put her in an action movie. Hey, man, I'd be down. Anything but seeing her in another fucking Carrie remake, man. Yeah, I agree. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So it's a shame that the Carrie franchise, whatever you want to call it, ends on this kind of a note where Carrie becomes the Emperor, where Carrie becomes Tony Stark, where Carrie becomes anybody but fucking Carrie. And all these fucking people that like this remake. Oh my god, dude, I don't understand. Like, what's really funny is this movie won. It was kind of a female vehicle with a female director, obviously female lead, all this stuff. They do these women awards, and this movie won the award for worst movie of the year that year. So even women hated this movie. Some women hated this. I thought that was fucking funny. It won the Shame Award. I don't know. I thought that was a riot. I was like, yo, this movie does belong in a Hall of Shame because they should be ashamed they fucking made this and took a shit on the original. Like, hey, and I understand that part 2 is hated and the TV remake is hated. I got that. They ain't nothing as bad as this, man. They know it's not even in the same ballpark, in my opinion. At least those movies have positives. At least those movies have good acting. At least those movies different things to the table, have people that stand out in them. This movie ain't nothing stands out but the dog shit. That's just my humble opinion. But yeah, man. So ranking these movies, of course, the original will always be the best, a 10 out of 10. The 2002 remake or the 1999 sequel here? I gave them the same rating. That's why it's tough to put one over the other. I'm going to say round the same for me. I enjoy both those movies. It's a good double feature, so I would love to get that double feature blue someday. I'll come in. Those two will share the number 2 slot. Then you're going to have 50 feet of shit, a dog turd, and then the Carrie 2013 movie, right? All right, Kimberly, you got there. You're on the list, but you got to dig through 50 feet of shit. That's going to be all for the show today, though. I really do enjoy most of the Carrie films. I went to bat for 2 of them that get bashed. I, of course, praised the original that we all know and love to know. And I took a nice, on the Carrie 2013 film. So thank you all for joining. I had a very fun time with the closing rant, and I had a very fun time going to bat for these 2 underrated movies in the sequel, The Rage, Carrie 2, and of course the TV movie from 2002. Long live Angela Bettis. I think she's the best Carrie. Love Sissy Spacek. Long live Sissy Spacek. Of course, Piper Laurie, Patricia Clarkson. Of course, my girl Emily Burgle from Part 2. I think she does a really, really good job in that movie. I don't know. Just I like these movies mostly, but we'll avoid that remake. So thank you all again. I think next week, and you can tell me what you all think. I wanted to do a top 10 horror movies of the 1960s. Hear me out here. It's 60 years. This is 2020, so 60 years ago, the 1960s began. So I figured it would be 60 years of the 1960s, and I'll go through my top 10 horror films of that decade. I think that'd be a fun show to do. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. If not, no big deals. I'm probably going to just do it anyway, because I've contrived of my top 10 list already, and I feel like that'll be a really fun show. So I just got to do some show prep. I want to revisit these movies, revisit some underrated 60s horror movies that maybe I can make a part of my list some way, shape, or form. Got a lot of prep to do, so that'll be fun. I want to say, everybody, thank you for joining again. Nate, thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. I'll see you next time. Absolutely, Master of Fear. And oh, dude, okay, great. So somebody likes that idea. yeah, 60s horror movies. It's going to be a lot of fun. My top 10 next time. Oh, thank you again, Aiden. I appreciate it. It was a fun rant to do. It's a lot more entertaining than the movie. Um, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. So everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe, stay beautiful, stay away from the 2013 Carrie remake. And hey man, if you have Netflix, I know the 2020 two Carrie remakes on there. If you have Netflix, totally watch that. The Rage Carrie 2, I'm not sure if that's on anything streaming. Again, I only have Prime, so I don't know. So it is what it is. Oh, do the original. I did the original before, good brother. Just when I stopped going live, you could rewind to the beginning. I did the original. I'll talk about the original for about 20 minutes. Yeah. Oh, Carrie remake or Creepshow 3. No, Creepshow 3 is worse. At least Carrie remake had a budget. I mean, that it may have had Iron Man Carrie in it, but at least it had a fucking budget. But that's gonna be all for the show. So too sweet. Peace. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Stay beautiful. Stay safe. Stay creepy. Only on the Graveyard.